Hi, I'm Jeff, and welcome to another one of my videos where I take a look at all the new comic books coming out on either June 6th or 7th, 2023, and I ask myself the question, what one new comic book would I buy this week if I could buy just one book? Let's start off this video first by taking a look back at my pick from 2 weeks ago, which was The Ambassadors, issue number 5, and the question remains, was it a worthy and worthwhile pick to be my just one book pick of the week? Well, the answer is yes. Yes. Definitely yes. It is amazing to me. From a reading perspective, The Ambassadors gets better and better with every single issue. Not necessarily by leaps and bounds, but it kind of gives me more and more of a look into the bigger picture story that's going on while telling me the kind of smaller story going on, which is the selection of each one of the ambassadors. But there is much, much, much more story to tell, and there's only one more issue scheduled for the ambassadors. That's interesting to me. I know this is not the end of the series. We'll either get more the ambassadors proper, or it's my understanding that Mark Millar, the writer of this, he's been writing many different types of comic books, that they're all part of a shared universe, and there's going to be a crossover event featuring all of his different titles, which should be interesting. So I imagine we'll see more ambassadors there, but I know for a fact we're going to see more just from the ambassadors story itself. Another thing I'll mention is that the ambassadors issue number 1 made cover price's list of the hottest books on the secondary market, the one that's seen the most movement, the most sales increase, the most value increase. It was like number 4 or 5 again this past week. So people are still going after that issue number 1. Issue number 2 and 3 are also selling for above cover price on the secondary market. The Ambassadors has been really great. So yes, issue number 5 was absolutely a worthy and worthwhile just one book pick 2 weeks ago. All right, let's go ahead and move forward and take a look at the books that are coming out this week. Now, I don't have a pick this week. Now, it's not because there's a lack of quality books this week. There are a lot of books I'm going to be talking about, and I'm going to comment on them very little so that we can move through them as quickly as possible. But there is a lot of really good books. But for me, it was just impossible for me to choose one book to be a just one book pick. So forgive me, I don't have a pick, but I have a lot to tell you. Let's get into it. Just a second ago, we were talking about The Ambassadors issue number 5. Well, my first honorable mention this week is The Ambassadors issue number 6 of a 6-issue limited series from Image Comics. Here is the description. Miniseries finale. The ambassador for Mexico completes the team as they face their first major conflict together and find out the truth behind Chun-Hee Chung's husband's superhuman upgrade program and the rich guys around the world who have paid him a fortune for it. Okay, I don't need to say anything more than what I already said in the beginning of this video. The Ambassadors is really impressive. It's a great read. People are enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. People are going after it on the secondary market. I recommend it fully, wholeheartedly. The next book I want to tell you about is a new book. It is called In Hell We Fight. Issue number 1 from Image Comics. Here's the description. Life in hell ain't easy. Demons try to torture you for all eternity. Monsters want to eat you. There's a stunning lack of reliable indoor plumbing, and it's almost impossible to get ice cream. At least until today, when 3 condemned teens and their annoying tag-along demon frenemy embark on a daring scheme to hijack a demon lord's delivery truck. What happens next will take them on an epic journey across the underworld, an infernal excursion of non-stop excitement, danger, and adventure. Presenting a devilishly fun new series from multiple Eisner-winning writer/letterer John Layman and Argentinian superstar artist Jock, J-O-K. I mentioned this book to you this week because it sounds like fun. It references presenting a devilishly fun new series, and I was so glad when I saw that at the end, because reading through it originally, I was like, this sounds like fun. And they address that directly. Sounds like a lot of fun. I enjoy fun. Fun is fun. Be it in horror comics, be it in superhero comics, or anything in between. I want it to be fun, and this sounds like a lot of fun. I would absolutely pick up this book this week if I didn't already have 5 books on my pull. So I'm a little bit maxed out, but this is on my radar, absolutely. If you have a very light week this week and you want to try something new, I might suggest this In Hell We Fight. The next book I want to mention to you is Once Upon a Time at the End of the World, issue number 6 from Boom Studios. Here's the description. Mezzi and Maceo found the unimaginable, a secluded suburban community, well preserved and filled with everything they need to survive until adulthood. As adults, however, the highest highs of romance and contentment are shadowed by dysfunction, just as their quaint community is surrounded by the ever-present horrors of the wasteland. How long can their little piece of paradise last? All right, so The Ambassadors was the first book that I'm buying this week. This is the second book that I am buying this week. Once Upon a Time at the End of the World has been a surprise for me as well. I've really been enjoying it. The first 5 issues kind of focused on them as, I'll call them children, and with some fast forwards to them towards the later period of their life. Now we're getting into what appears to be their young adulthood. I've been pleasantly surprised by this title. I've been enjoying it. Nobody else cares. I do. So I'm buying issue number 6. I was almost going to stop buying it after that first arc just because I was like, the first arc's done. Maybe I can get rid of it. But no, when in hindsight I think about it and I'm like, I've really been enjoying the first 5 issues, so I'm going to stick with it. The next book I want to mention to you is a new book. It is Deadpool, Batter Blood. Issue number 1 of a 5-issue limited series from Marvel Comics. Here's the description. Wolverine, Deadpool, Cable. It doesn't get any badder than this. Wade Wilson is back, and he's brought some frenemies. As the villainous Thumper returns to take out the man who created him, Wolverine and Cable step in for a daring rescue mission. But as Deadpool becomes embroiled in nefarious criminal machinations in Madripoor, will the trio be able to join forces, or will Thumper's agenda put an end to their efforts? Don't miss the highly anticipated follow-up to Deadpool, Bad Blood, as Rob Liefeld returns to the Merc with a Mouth and introduces new characters into this wild world who are sure to become the next fan faves, including the first appearance of Shatterstorm. So, this is an interesting one for me. I don't know that Rob Liefeld, the creator of Deadpool, knows what makes Deadpool enjoyable for the community. Deadpool kind of evolved past Rob Liefeld's original creation and became something different, which is what people have been responding to. And I feel like Rob is kind of reeling it in a little bit. And I don't know if that's such a good idea, but who knows? It's his creation. He's writing this and also doing the art. So take that as it may be. There are the promises of a new character in here, Shatterstorm, so maybe Shatterstorm is a reason to pick this up on spec. I don't know if the story's going to be so good. I am suspect on that happening, but it's potentially, it's apparently got a first appearance in it. So if you'd like to spec on that, now you know. The next book I want to mention to you is a new book. It is called Loki, issue number 1 of a 4-issue limited series from Marvel Comics. Here's the description. Loki saves the Marvel Universe? He may be the benevolent god of stories now, but Loki's past as the god of lies returns to haunt him when ancient, powerful weapons he once built end up scattered across the 10 realms. Loki must track down these weapons before they fall into the wrong hands and bring about Ragnarok. Surprising guest stars, exciting new characters, and startling twists await in this all-new miniseries by rising stars Dan Waters and it's spelled German, but I think it's Herman Peralta. So the MCU did one thing, in my opinion, really, really right. They did many things really, really right. But one thing in particular that I'll mention right now is I really like what the MCU did for Thor and for Loki. I think they made those two characters, who were not very particularly interesting to me, way more interesting, way more charismatic. And I want more stories from those two characters. You got to give credit to the writers, the directors, and of course the actors. So the fact that we have this Loki series come is interesting to me. It's compelling to me. I can see the potential for really cool stories coming from the character of Loki. So if you were a fan of Loki before and have always been a fan of Loki, or if you became a fan because of the MCU, or if you're just Loki curious, this might be a series worth checking out, and it's got a lot of really cool covers. The next book I want to mention to you is Star Wars, issue number 35. From Marvel Comics, here's the description. Luke Skywalker, in the clutches of Dr. Kuata. The would-be Jedi's lightsaber is all but destroyed. Enter Kyber Crystal expert Dr. Kuata. Only he can repair it, but at what price? Luke's life will hang in the balance, and only another Jedi can save him. Okay, who is this other Jedi we're talking about? This story takes place between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. What other Jedi are we talking about? Because I know that there are some, in the fringes, allegedly, during this time period, but none that are, like, up front and center. So is it going to be one we know already, or is it going to be one we don't know? Regardless of that, I mentioned this book because I'm buying it this week. I mention it every time it comes out because I've really been enjoying it. It's one of the few books that I've been picking up since issue number 1. I can't believe it's already at issue number 35. The next book I want to mention to you is a new book. It is Star Wars Return of the Jedi Empire, issue number 1. I believe it's a one-shot from Marvel Comics. Here's the description. What would you do if the Empire took over? As operations begin to take shape on the moon of Endor, a technician must figure out how to live under the control of the Empire. But if he can't stay out of trouble, what will the Empire do with him? Continuing the 40th anniversary celebration of Return of the Jedi, Jody Houser and Jethro Morales pull back the curtain of the Empire like never before. So this is another one of the one-shots that are tied into Return of the Jedi, celebrating the 40th anniversary of that movie. We had a Jabba the Hutt one, we had a Lando Calrissian one, there have been other ones, Ewoks, and this is another one of those. But this one is actually of particular interest to me. I like the idea of peeling back the curtain on the Empire and seeing a little bit more about the day-to-day of participants or members of the Empire. What is that like? What motivates them? What just the little intricacies of the minutia of the Empire are interesting to me. And once again, if I didn't already have so many books that I buy in this week, I might consider checking this out to see what kind of stories they're going to tell me. So if you're a big Star Wars fan, or you're just curious to learn more about the Empire during this era, here's a book just for you. The next book I want to mention to you is Hairball, issue number 3 of a 4-issue series from Dark Horse. Here's the description. Determined to trap and kill her cat and put an end to the madness the beast is causing her family, the young girl begins to suspect killing the cat may not be possible, or that it may not be a cat after all. Okay, this is an oddball pick for me. I mentioned it this week because I am buying it. I bought issue number 1 and 2 because of Matt Kindt and the fact that Matt Kindt's popularity for me, my interest in Matt Kindt is increasing and increasing and increasing with each new thing that I read from him. Hairball is weird. It's very weird, but it's interesting weird, compelling weird. I like it type of weird. So because it's a 4-issue limited series, it's kind of a slam dunk for me to finish it, and so I'll be picking up issue number 3 this week. I don't necessarily recommend that you go back and pick up issues number 1 and 2 and 3. It's not the best thing of his that I've read, but I'm enjoying it. I'm buying it. I mention it to you. The next book I want to mention to you is Sins of the Sultan's Sea, issue number 1 of a 5-issue limited series from Artists, Writers, and Artisans Incorporated. Here's the description. Wyatt, a professional thief living off the grid, is recruited by his brother for one last job. Their target? An armored car traveling down a desolate stretch of California highway. But when it turns out that their target is carrying not gold bars, but human cargo, Wyatt is plunged into a conflict between warring factions of a doomsday cult. The cult claims it is their solemn duty to save the world by means of human sacrifice. Will Wyatt protect the boy who has come into his charge? Or will he be swayed by the cult's increasingly convincing claims that the end of the world is fast approaching? This sounds interesting. This kind of sounds more like a movie idea than a comic book idea, which may be to its benefit, also might be to its detriment. There's a lot of interesting things to consider trying out this week. I don't know if this is premier among them, but it was definitely interesting enough to me that I wanted to make sure that you were aware of it. The next book I want to mention is Sudden Death, issue number 1 from Scout Comics. Here's the description. Hank Kelly cannot die. With this revelation, he is catapulted into a world of fame and fortune that he hopes will repair his broken family. But Detective Rosalind Lovejoy works to unravel the dark mystery truly behind Hank's immortality. Short, simple description, effective. Thank you very much, whoever wrote this description. This one sounds interesting to me. Is the concept of a character who can never die an original one? Not even in the slightest. But there's just something about the fact that that this is a person who cannot die, whose ability to not die catapulted them into fame and fortune. That's interesting to me. It's a public persona for them, their immortality. Usually it's something that's kind of kept quiet. This one is front and center. So it's kind of interesting to me how that would affect this person, both good and bad. Immortality, to me, is a double-edged sword. It sounds like a good idea until you've lived for, like, I don't know, thousands and thousands of years, and then maybe you would just pray for the sweet release of death. But this one sounds interesting to me. This is another one like that other one that I mentioned earlier. Which one was that? In Hell We Fight. This is another one, this Sudden Death, where if I was pulling fewer books this week, I would really strongly consider picking this one up. So keep it on your radar. Similarly, I have a similar opinion about this next book, which is The Sickness. Issue number 1 from Uncivilized Comics. Never heard of it. Here's the description. Feeling sick? The man may be following you. 1945. Leo, my dog Leo is over here snoring. If you can hear him in the background, it's very cute. I'm going to leave him alone. All right. Feeling sick? The man may be following you. 1945. Daniel Buss, an anxious teenager living in small-town America, has been experiencing strange symptoms, mood swings, increased sensitivity, and terrifying hallucinations, threatening to ruin his summer vacation before freshman year. Worse, a stalking presence watches Daniel's every move. 1955. George Brooks, war vet and timeless doctor, nears retirement from his decorated past. When a local housewife murders her entire family, her son, the sole survivor, is put into his care. George grows obsessed with uncovering what could drive an ordinary person to such brutality. Though they live a decade apart, their fates intertwine through a horrifying illness and the haunting figure who follows wherever they go. This one is another one. There's so many of them this week that, man, I really wish I was pulling fewer books because I would absolutely try this one out. I like the premise. I even like the idea that it's 2 different stories set a decade apart that are connected. I I like the concept. It's creepy and interesting. I really like this cover. There's only one cover for it, and I really like it. I like the kind of wide angle shot of the people watching this woman like murdering this person in the street, and that they're small in this wide kind of suburban landscape. And even the title in its kind of like script, calligraphy kind of thing, just the words "the sickness" presented in a very pretty, flowy kind of font. It's got a lot of very interesting things going on with it for me. Twist my arm, I might end up picking this one up. The next book I want to mention to you is a new book. It's called You've Been Cancelled. Issue number 1 of a 4-issue limited series from Mad Cave Studios. Here's the description. In the near future, cancel culture means more than just losing your job. It could mean your life. The world's premier entertainment event is Canceled, a live-streamed program where elite bounty hunters called cancelers kill individuals who society has voted to cancel, following heinous actions or offenses. Our story follows Roland Endo, the world's #1 ranked canceller. Because of his status, Roland lives in a constant state of paranoia with a target on his back. So, cancel culture is a thing, and it's a very interesting thing. I have mixed feelings about it in general, but it's an interesting thing to take it to an extreme end where being canceled means you are likely to be killed. And then, if you are one of the cancelers, the people who kill these people, now there's a microscope on you and your behavior, and people are probably looking for any opportunity to cancel you. So you have to really, really mind your P's and Q's, and you probably live in a state of paranoia. This is all really, really interesting to me. This is not the most interesting of the many, many interesting new books that are coming out this week, but it's definitely got some there, and so I had to mention it to you. The next book I want to tell you about, only 2 more to go, hang in there, is Batman, issue number 136 from DC. Here's the description. Failsafe and Red Mask have forever changed Batman, and Gotham isn't as welcoming as it once was. Can Batman remind them who he is? Can he remind Catwoman? The future of the Bat books starts here, and everyone's world is about to explode. So, first and foremost, the things I mention every time a Batman comes out. I like Batman. Batman's awesome. It's written by Chip Zdarsky. He is fantastic as a writer. Art by Jorge Jimenez, although he's not doing the interior art on this one. He's doing the cover, but apparently he's not doing the interiors on this one. But he will be back. His art is fantastic. The interiors are being done by Belen Ortega, whose art I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm sure it's perfectly wonderful. So the Batman book is just a staple for me. I mention it every time it comes out. It does say in this description at the end of it, the future of the Bat books starts here, and everyone's world is about to explode. Now that often is hyperbole, but in this instance, kind of sort of not. It's my understanding that there's this big kind of like Batman versus Catwoman war event that's coming from DC, and it looks like it's going to kick off here. So if you plan on going all in on this event, you're going to have to buy Catwoman, you're going to have to buy Batman, but you're definitely going to have to pick up this one right here. Sounds like it could be a cool, fun event to have, you know, Catwoman and Batman kind of clashing more than usual. And in the hands of Chip Zdarsky, I expect it to be very well done. So I think it'll be entertaining. Well, once again, if you're interested, make sure you check out Batman 136. The last book I'm going to mention to you this week is Flash, issue number 800. Wow, from DC. This is an extra size spectacular with a $4.99 cover price. That's actually not so bad. Here's the description. Written by Jeremy Adams, Mark Waid, Joshua Williamson, Jeff Johns, and Simon Spurrier. Art by Fernando Passerian and Auclair Albert, Todd Knock, Carmine Di Giandomenico, Scott Collins, and Mike Diodato Jr. An oversized anniversary issue concludes writer Jeremy Adams's acclaimed tenure, with special guests Mark Waid, Joshua Williamson, and Jeff Johns joining the celebration. As the Adams run races to the finish line, get a prelude to the new Dawn of DC chapter of the Fastest Man Alive's adventures from the dream team of Simon Spurrier and Mike Delgado Jr. Okay, that description was thankfully not too long, because DCs often can be quite long, and not very informative. It basically told you, I guess, what I would expect from an anniversary issue. It told you about the many special guest writers and artists that will be participating in it. The Flash is a character that is way better than I think he is given credit. I'm a fan of the Flash. I have read Flash comic books from time to time. I'm currently out on Flash comic books, but the Flash is a cool character, has a long, incredible history, absolutely a staple of the DC universe. So paying attention to an 800th anniversary issue from any character that makes it to 800 issues is worth paying attention to. Now, especially with the Flash movie coming around the corner in about a week and a half or so, if you're a fan of the Flash, you're going to pick this up. If you're not a fan of the Flash, but you're curious about the Flash, this would be a good thing to pick up as a bit of a primer for the movie, if you'd like to get a little bit more information about the character in advance of seeing the movie, and early reports, I avoid previews and commercials, but early reports on the movie is that it's fantastic. So I am looking forward to checking it out, and I hope the best for it, because I like the character, and I like successful comic book movies. It's good for all of us comic book enthusiasts. So absolutely, you need to have this on your radar. Has some great covers, lots to choose from. And, it's the Flash. It's 800 issues. It's something to take note of. All right, that's it. Long video, lots of books to talk about this week. I hope there was something in this video that piqued your interest. If there's something you didn't know about that I mentioned to you, that now you're like, ooh, that sounds really, really interesting to me. I'd love to know what you think down in the comments. In addition, if you like this content, likes are appreciated by me, and if you haven't already subscribed, I invite you to do so. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.